Hi, welcome to Smart Solver. Let's learn how to study smart. Understand deeply, practice daily. Then you'll solve confidently. You can succeed anywhere.
Hey there, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're zooming in on something you literally do about 20,000 times a day, completely without thinking about it. Yep, we're talking about the respiratory system. But we're not just going to look at this as basic dry biology. We're going to view it as the body's ultimate high-tech logistics network. Just think of your body as a massive, bustling metropolis. Every single cell is like a tiny factory, right? And they need constant, non-stop deliveries of raw materials to keep running, plus a super reliable trash pickup service to take away the waste. Well, that entire sprawling logistics operation, that's your respiratory system. So here's our delivery route for today. We'll start with the ultimate delivery service. Map out the pathway of air, figure out how we actually breathe, see gas exchange in action, look at how our lungs are built for the job, and finally wrap up with oxygen, exercise, and you. Let's get moving. Section 1, the ultimate delivery service. All right, let's dive right in and set up the main problem our bodies are constantly facing. We're active, warm-blooded creatures, which means our cellular factories have this massive, non-stop demand for energy. To keep them fueled, oxygen, or O2, is the absolute VIP package we have to drop off. It's the gas we breathe in, the crucial raw material our cells use to unlock energy from our food. But as you know, every factory produces waste. For our cells, that waste is carbon dioxide, or CO2. This stuff is basically toxic cellular garbage. If it builds up, the whole factory shuts down. No way we want that. So our delivery service has two absolute mandates: get the fresh oxygen in and get that toxic carbon dioxide out. Moving on to Section 2, the pathway of air.
Now that we know exactly what's inside these packages, let's track the actual delivery route. Like, how does this vital oxygen get from the air around us all the way down into your internal metropolis? Well, the pathway of air works a whole lot like taking a major interstate highway all the way down to a tiny local dirt road. Air enters through the main gates, your nose or mouth. From there, it cruises down the trachea, which you probably know as your windpipe. Then, the trachea splits into two large tubes called bronchi, one heading to each lung. Those bronchi then branch out into much smaller tubes called bronchioles, reaching deeper and deeper into the lungs. And finally, at the very end of those tiny roads, you hit the ultimate delivery hubs, the alveoli.
Just take a second to appreciate this brilliant branching design. You can really see how the trachea splits into the bronchus and then fans out into those crazy tree-like bronchioles. This isn't just a random accident of nature, guys. It's a wildly efficient structure. All those branching tubes mean the air is distributed evenly, perfectly funneling down to literally millions of those tiny alveoli tucked deep inside your chest. It is a massive, high-speed distribution network. Okay, time for a quick check. Let's make sure you've got the map of our logistics network locked in. Which part of the body carries air from the nose and mouth straight down to the lungs? Is it A, bronchi, B, trachea, C, alveoli, or D, diaphragm? Think back to that major highway we just talked about. If you locked in B, trachea, you absolutely nailed it. The trachea, or windpipe, is that strong central tube acting as the primary highway, carrying air from your throat straight down into the chest cavity. All right, Section 3, how we actually breathe. So, we've got the route mapped out, but packages don't just magically move on their own, right? A delivery network needs a mechanical pump to actually pull the deliveries in and push the waste out. Breathing relies on changing the physical size of your chest cavity, sort of acting like a giant bellows. When you breathe in, or inhale, your diaphragm, which is this cool dome-shaped muscle right below your lungs, contracts and pulls downwards. At the exact same time, your ribs move up and out. This makes your whole chest cavity bigger, and air is literally sucked in like a vacuum. When you breathe out, or exhale, the complete opposite happens. The diaphragm relaxes and pops back up, your ribs drop down and in, the chest gets smaller, and boom, the air is squeezed and pushed right back out. Section 4, gas exchange in action. Okay, so the pump is doing its thing, and the air has been pulled all the way down into the deepest, darkest parts of the lungs. Now, let's zoom all the way in to the micro level and witness the actual package handoff. This is the alveolus. It's tiny, but oh man, is it mighty. This right here is the final delivery hub. Notice how the alveolus is just tightly wrapped in blood capillaries? Blood from the heart, absolutely loaded with that waste carbon dioxide, arrives right here. The carbon dioxide exits the blood, hopping into the air sac, while the fresh, new oxygen inside the air sac crosses right over into the blood to be shipped out to the rest of the body. It is a perfect simultaneous swap. But how exactly does this swap happen? Are there little microscopic workers loading and unloading the trucks? Nope. They use a process called diffusion. Diffusion is basically just how gases naturally move from an area of high concentration, where it's super crowded, to an area of low concentration, where there's plenty of space. The absolutely crucial thing to remember here is that this requires zero energy. None. It just happens naturally. Oxygen diffuses from the crowded air sac into the blood, and carbon dioxide diffuses the exact opposite way. Guys, it's the ultimate free shipping. Quick check time again. We really can't be mixing up our fresh deliveries with our toxic waste. Which gas moves from the blood into the alveolus so it can be breathed out of the body? A, oxygen, or B, carbon dioxide?
The correct answer is B, carbon dioxide. Remember, CO2 is that cellular trash we desperately need to evict. The blood dumps it into the alveolus so that when our chest cavity shrinks down during exhalation, it gets pushed right up and out into the world.
Moving along, Section 5, built for the job.
To make this free shipping via diffusion work fast enough to actually keep us alive, the alveoli have to be sheer architectural marvels. And they are. There are 4 main adaptations that make them incredibly efficient. First up, they have amazingly thin walls. We're talking only 1 cell thick, so the gases barely have any distance to travel at all. Second, a massive surface area. Because there are millions of these little sacs, there is a crazy amount of space for this swap to happen, everywhere all at once. Third, a moist lining. Gases actually dissolve in this moisture, which speeds the whole diffusion process right up. And fourth, a really good blood supply. Because the alveoli are hugged by those dense capillary networks, there's a constant, steady flow of blood ready to pick up and drop off gases on the fly. All right, I've got a challenge for you. Without looking, can you name just one adaptation of the alveoli that helps those gases diffuse so quickly? Search your memory. Pull up just one of those brilliant structural features we just went over. Did you get it? If you said thin walls, large surface area, moist lining, or a good blood supply, you completely nailed it. These 4 adaptations are the secret sauce. They literally make our biological logistics network arguably the most efficient system on the planet. And our final stop, Section 6, oxygen, exercise, and you. Let's take all of this out of the theoretical realm and see it in the real world. What actually happens to this beautifully balanced system when you hit the gym, start running, and a sudden, intense demand spikes? You can actually see the rapid rise in blood oxygen levels right when exercise starts. Why does that happen? Well, your cellular factories are working overtime and basically screaming for more energy. To meet the demand, your breathing mechanics shift into absolute overdrive. You start breathing much faster and deeper, your diaphragm pumps harder, way more air rushes down those branching tubes, and diffusion happens at top speed across millions of alveoli, just forcing extra oxygen into your bloodstream to keep you moving until you finally rest. Bringing this whole thing together, the main takeaway from today's explainer is that your respiratory system is far more than just a set of lungs. It's a brilliant, highly dynamic delivery network. From the trachea highway all the way down to those tiny, specially adapted alveoli hubs, this entire system is perfectly fine-tuned to ensure a continuous flow of efficient gas exchange. It's the very thing keeping every single cell in your body alive and working. Before we go, I want to leave you with something to really think about. This system is incredibly robust, for sure, but it relies on a very delicate balance. What would happen to your body's energy levels if just one of those brilliant alveolar adaptations, say those 1 cell thick walls, suddenly became thicker or failed altogether? Just imagine how quickly that ultimate delivery service would back up. It just goes to show how incredible it is that right now, millions of tiny sacs in your chest are executing this flawless exchange, second by second, without you even realizing it. Thanks for learning with me today.
Thanks for watching Smart Solver. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep solving smarter every day.